All right, welcome to this next video. We're going to talk about the corporate part of discipleship. So it's not just personal, but it's corporate. There we go. And also social. I was trying to put corporate and social together. Anyway, corporate and then also social. So we will be looking at these next few things. So just important to remember that we are created for community. You know, we talk about God in three persons. We talked about that in the first unit on worldview. God is Father, Son, and Spirit. He is in himself. God is in himself a community. And so God's nature is relational. So it would make sense that we would be relational as well. And we're created for community. It's interesting that in the Bible, there's many references to the people of God, both in the Old and the New Testament. And Jesus formed this discipleship community, right? Like he gathered together his followers and they lived and learned and walked. Remember that I talked about discipleship is following. They just followed Jesus around. They walked with him and listened to him. And so there was a community that was put together. There's another image besides the people of God, but the body of Christ. So when you have a body of one head and different parts, and the body is united. And that's another great image. You know, you think about who we are, you know, you can't chop off my ear and then expect me to hear, right? It's all connected. And in Greek, the word body was used for anything that consisted of various members. And we do that together, right? We talk about the body politic, which means all the people that are part of the political system. We use that term somewhat. It's a little bit more old-fashioned, but it is something that we do use occasionally. We're part of this body of Christ. So what's a practical expression of our corporate sense of who we are? Well, we're collective. We're independent people. We've yielded our hearts and relationships to the reign of God. We're tied together into a new community. There's phrasing that talk about how in Romans, how God has grafted in Gentiles into this system of faith. And we have this common commitment of following Jesus. This community is part of who we are. So there's this idea of the individual moving to community, and actually everything is connected. So it's important to remember that our faith is personal. Absolutely. We make an individual decision, but it's formed in the context of relationships. And so our goal is to move beyond kind of individualism into interdependence. And frankly, I've traveled a lot of countries in this world, and most other countries get this much, much easier and much better than those of us in America. In America, we have this great, you know, individualism. We're strong. We stand on our own 2 feet. Other countries, other nations are much more communal and connected, and they recognize the importance of one another, working together with one another, and they get this much, much easier. And it's important to remember too that the whole area where God first worked, you know, this part of the world is this communal culture. And so for the original hearers of both the Old Testament and Jesus, and then the Apostle Paul, there was this sense that they understood that they don't just do it on their own. So when we read it, we're actually the odd ones out, because we read the Bible, we think about faith in this purely individualistic term, and that's not how the original hearers would have thought about it. So what are some things that disciples do together? Well, we encourage one another. We admonish, which means to kind of encourage one another in living in the right way. We give discernment of what's right and what's wrong. We help to affirm one another and provide mutual aid. We care for people often. We also worship together. We mentor one another. And then we have some disciplines where we actually engage in things like worship and mentoring, but we also sometimes abstain from things, and we practice silence and solitude in ways to strengthen our corporate life together. Those are significant as well. We will be wrapping up with the societal dimension in the final video in this entire course. So you've done well. I look forward to seeing you in that next video.